Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's Pick a Crystal reading, The Badass Within. So I found this spread. I thought it was really cute and fun to do. And so this spread, it will tell you the traits that you need to access within to bring out the badass within. What is your superpower, or how to access your superpower, and then how you can conquer your world. So I want you to take a moment and choose the crystal that calls to you the most. On your far left, we have clear quartz. Then we have smoky quartz. We have honey calcite. And then we have garnet. I always recommend for people to stay away from favorites and pick the crystal that calls to you the most. Keep in mind that it can be more than one if you choose. So now we're going to begin. Okay, so now for those who chose the clear quartz, we're going to start that. So let's see here. So the first question is going to be, traits to release the badass within, or traits that you already have. Okay, because keep in mind, if you feel like you don't have the traits that are mentioned, these could be actions and traits that you need to work on to bring out that badass within. Okay, so keep that in mind. So the first would be, well, it's upside down, so we're going to do this upright. And it's owl, wise seen, wise action. So this could be that you're pretty wise, that you think before you act, pretty good decision maker, or a person that really knows, what they want. I feel like this could be like shadow work, understanding your own darkness, and so if you're feeling like you're lacking this in your life, so know that these kind of traits are lying dormant within you. Okay, so everyone, we're always searching for answers outside ourselves, so this is basically telling you that the wisdom lies within, that you are capable to make correct decisions, and make good decisions on what you want to do, that it lies within you. So you do have this, even if you may feel like your judgment may have been poor before, because we could be our own worst critic. So but even still, you've learned from those experiences, so that wisdom stays there. So either how you look at it, you still have wisdom from the experiences that you've went through. Okay, so how to access your superpower, or what could be your superpower. And we have skull of darkness. It says blind spots. So I definitely feel like this has to do with shadow work. So with the things that you've went through, as we were saying, the experiences, the things that have caused you pain and harm in some way, but at the same time, you've learned certain things that help you persevere in your life. So I feel like this definitely has to do with like shadow work. That is probably your power, your superpower, because through your shadow work, you will discover your strengths more than your weaknesses. So I feel like this is about also making things possible. And it says like blind spots, right? So I feel like this also has to do with revealing all that is hidden, breaking patterns, and looking to see things more clearly, because of the word blind, so, and I feel like also accepting and loving your differences, and acknowledging repetitive patterns. So this could be your superpower, but in order to access the superpower, I feel like you definitely will have to do some shadow work and choosing the correct way, how to go about things, or using your wisdom and being able to step back and say, I see something happening, especially when things tend to happen all over, like repetitive things happen. It's basically having the wisdom to step back and say, this is happening again. This is trying to provoke a certain reaction from me, or, how could I relate to what's happening? If a person is showing you a particular situation or behavior, you have to ask yourself, like, what is about me that this thing keeps happening? So you could find your superpower by going into the dark, into the darkness of yourself, and understanding, why you react to certain things the way that you do, and really going back to the basics, sort of, where did this trigger reaction came from? When was the first initial, So that is how you can bring forth your superpower of being wise, and just being able to basically shatter all types of behavior patterns, repetitive old habits, that are not really contributing any wellness to your life. All right. So then we have the third card is, the action to conquer the world. All right. And we have, it's upside down too, spider, and it's community and web weaving. So you see, like, at least for me, okay, so I feel like this has to do with breaking attachments that bind us, knowing the difference between those that contribute to our wellness or who's controlling us, because it says their community. So it's not just about you, but it's actually, you see, like, the blind spots, it's asking you to view how others are affecting you, or how, if they're like helping you rise up, or are they really, taking things away from you, and also like balancing between, what you do for yourself and what you do for others, like an equal exchange kind of thing, and establishing and enforcing boundaries, and keep in mind that, boundaries change, okay? So change accordingly to how you should honor yourself, because maybe you say no one day for one situation, and then in the next month that person asks you the same thing, but you feel like you can do it at that time, you can say, you know what, okay, I can do it this time. See, so that's what I'm trying to say, that boundaries change. So basically, just make sure that you're honoring yourself, you honoring yourself by doing the actions that you really want to do. And I feel like this also has to do with connecting with yourself and actually having like healthy connections with others, So basically, I feel like this definitely has to do with awareness of yourself and the reflections that you see yourself in others, and just the people that you have around you, because you have, on the spider, you have the spiral. So like the spiral of life, just like how everything is connected. And you have the web, everyone is connected to you. So, you definitely have to, figure out who's, giving health to your life and who's taking away, and act accordingly, So this is how you can access the badass within, and that is doing the shadow work and being able to break attachments that do no longer serve you and contribute to any, wellness in your life. So for those who chose the clear quartz, these are your cards. So now we're going to move on to the next one, which is the smoky quartz. So for those who chose smoky quartz, let me hear like my words. So let's see. So again, we're going to start with like the traits to release the badass within, or what actually makes you a badass. Okay, so the first card we have is Mummy, change. So this could be, your ability that you're able to adapt to changes, or it's asking you to adapt to change and really look towards changing yourself and just making making your surroundings, your life, a more safer space for you. Okay, so I feel like this definitely has to do with the ability to flow through the changes of life, embracing, transformation. I feel like for some of you, bringing an end to your resistance to change, because perhaps, the majority, it's hard. Change could be really hard, for some. So for, this could be definitely saying, you have to let things flow better. Also allowing things to end and trusting that the change that is happening is for the best, and to know that you are not cursed, and you can control what you can and make the changes, to create, as I was saying before, like that safe space for you, and breaking attachments, and things that keep you bounded, because you see the mummy, it's bounded by gauze, and, so, it basically, just being able to accept change. And even when things are chaotic and perhaps you've lost, people or jobs, or, things could be going awry right now. But just know that these changes are for your best interest. You may not see it now, but eventually will be. And for those who are good at change, this is, what makes you a badass, that you're able to go through the changes. And even though it may be hard right now, you may be struggling, but you know that in a higher perspective, it's all for your well-being. So then the next one is how to access your superpower, or what could be your superpower. And we have the lamp remembrance. So I feel like if for most of you, you're like feeling like there's like a time of darkness, I feel like definitely this is like shining a light, in the darkness that is happening. And remembering, as I was saying before, how I was saying that change, even if it's chaotic, it's for a reason and it's in your best interest. We just don't see it yet. So definitely I feel like this is asking you to remember that everything and everyone is a lesson, and that even the most difficult people, teach us what we need to know, and I feel like we learn more from the people who we don't like, or people who have caused us harm, or like our enemy, than we do from our friends, So I definitely feel like with that word remembrance, I feel like this definitely has to do with tapping into that strength. And this could be your superpower. For some of you, you have that strength. And even if everyone has the strength, then you may not, like, for some of you may feel like, oh, I'm so weak, I don't have the strength. But this is reminding you that you do have the strength, that is your superpower. So you need to tap into that strength that you have, and be more positive in your self-talk and your thinking process. And basically remembering who you are. Because, with change, sometimes when there's drastic change, especially when it comes to bondings, like friendships or even partnerships, marriage, boyfriend and girlfriend, or, any type of romantic relationship, partnership, when something falls apart, you can become very, very disconnected, and it could be really hard. The heartbreak makes it hard for you to remember who you are, to remember what you once liked, or, just, you could really be feeling really, really disconnected. So if you're having a difficult time, this card, to tap into your superpower, you have to first remember who you are, okay? To shine the light in your darkness, and that is how you're going to remember exactly who you are, to be going, to move forward, okay? So then we have the action to take to conquer the world, or to conquer your changes, the things that are going through. And we have dawn, the light after the darkness. Okay, so definitely this has to do about shining the light, and just not giving up. I feel like this also has to do with hope. And I feel like, as I was saying before, your thinking process, much like just to be thinking more positive, and knowing, like as the card says, that there is light after the darkness, to see the possibilities. And like I've always said before, to find the solution than to be focusing so much on the problem, and know that there are new beginnings, as we were saying with change. We don't see it right now, but bigger things are coming. Things that are going to be more in alignment with you will be coming. So these are definitely like new beginnings, maintaining hope, and to know that that you can always have a fresh start if you choose to. Everything is a choice. So you can choose to stay and focus on the problem and say how everything is falling apart, everything is chaotic. Or you can recognize that everything is falling apart and everything is chaotic, but you can think on how you can change that and what can you do from within. That even if you can't control the circumstances externally outside of you, what could you do within to help yourself, and how you can help promote the change that is occurring right now in your life. Okay, so tap in to your superpower. Remember who you are. Remember that you have strength, because if you made it this far, that right there is evidence enough. And even if it was a struggle, even if it took you, as numerous mistakes, but either way, you've made it this far. And so that counts for something. Okay, so just remember who you are. Tap into that strength and just go with the ebb and flow of life. Be more prone to change and accepting and less resistant. Okay, so these are the cards for those who picked the Smoky Quartz. So now we're going to move on to the next one, which is the Honey Calcite. Okay, so for those who chose the Honey Calcite, so the traits to release the badass within, or traits that we already have deep within us, but sometimes we don't really realize it. So these are the things that you can do to bring out that badass within. And so we're going to have the first card is, it's upside down. We have the apple, risk and reward. So for some of you may have no problem taking risk, well, healthy risk. And for some of you, it may be hard to get out of your comfort zone. So this definitely is telling you, to tap into the badass within, you need to take some risk. Of course, it has, be healthy risk. You don't want to do risks that are going to endanger your life or others. Some of you are able to avoid temptation, which is good. Breaking out of your comfort zone, and stepping out of old habits, ambition, motivation, will, and determination. Okay, so these are like traits that you have within you, and if you feel like you don't, is perhaps you need to tap into that. Like try to find the will and the motivation, the determination. Trying to be a little bit more fearless on how you go about your life. Perhaps there's something you want to do, but it will require you to take the risk, but you're so used to being where you at that it can seem like going off could even make you feel like if you were in danger. Okay, so you have to be really aware of that, that we're creatures of habit, so stepping out of habit can make it seem like we're actually putting ourselves in danger. But if you can put that kind of fear aside and really analyze the situation, you will see that is not that dangerous. It's just going to require for you to actually take, the first step. All right. So then we're going to move on to the second card, and it's like how to access your superpower, or what is your superpower. And we have this graveyard. Oh, look at that. Unnecessary fear. So definitely this is gonna take some, really going out that box of being afraid, putting aside your anxieties to overcome your challenges, and trust, that the next steps. I feel like this has to definitely do with a lot of self-trust, you know, and how much you trust yourself and your ability to judge the things that are in front of you. And trust that you also know that the risks that you're taking or gonna take, that they're healthy, you know, and that they're healthy enough for you to take the risk and to take action. Okay, so in order to access this superpower of yours of being able to take the risk, you got to first put aside the fear. Okay, put aside the anxieties and the doubts, because I feel like most of the problem is self-doubt. We're always doubting ourselves, you know, especially if we feel like we've done mistakes before. We're always so hard on ourselves, you know. We are our own worst critic. So definitely, in order to tap in to that badass within you, you have to put aside your fear and your anxieties and that self-doubt. So then the next card is what action you can take to conquer your world or bring about the changes. And we have the jack-o'-lantern, protection. Okay, so see, I feel like this definitely has to do with fear, because protection, you know, because it's about feeling safe. So putting aside that fear that you have and knowing that you're safe because you trust yourself. Okay, so, and I feel like this definitely has to do with, you know, not just protection of self and shielding and knowing that you're protected, but knowing that you are capable, you know, of making, you know, the action and moves to create the life that you want, you know, which requires boundaries, especially if there's entitled to other people. But that you can do what you need to do. You can take the risk, as I was saying before with the other card, with the graveyard card. You know, you have to trust yourself to know that the risk you want to take is healthy, and that when you look at it in a bigger perspective, that is actually going to be very beneficial to you and perhaps to your family or to those around you, and it can contribute some type of positivity into your life. Okay, so risks are kind of scary, even if, like, for love too, you know, because you have the apple, and apple is love. So this could be a relationship, you know, where perhaps you've been, you know, jaded before and you're not sure. But if a person is showing you by action that they are worth the risk, then you definitely have to put aside your fear and really take that next step. Okay, so just try to overcome those anxieties and try to really think. I feel like thinking in a bigger perspective really definitely helps with overcoming fear and anxiety, when you can analyze, like, what would happen if you were to take the risk and how much, you know, could flourish when you do those things. Okay, so for those who picked the honey calcite, you know, these are your cards. So now we're going to move on to the next crystal, and that is the garnet. So for those who chose the garnet, so we're going to go over the traits to release the badass within, and the things that you have perhaps lying dormant within. Okay, so we're going to see here, what is the first card here? I'm sorry. And we have winter, the sacredness of pausing. Okay, because, you know, during winter, I would say things die, right? And they prepare themselves for spring. And, you know, the leaves fall from trees. So I feel like definitely this has to do with perhaps like letting go of what no longer serves you. Clearing out like old habits and patterns, you know, and let things die away. You know, basically like releasing a lot of this stuff that you have within that's really blocking your view of the future, or blocking you having any type of positive thoughts, you know. I feel like this also, because it says pausing, right? So I feel like this has to do with to take a pause, you know, to digest the things that are happening or have happened. And this is like the time to plan for the renewal, you know, for spring. So if you want to bring a certain type of change, you need to let go of things that don't serve you. That could be, relationships, jobs, things that are not contributing to your wellness. So you need time to digest, what's happening and really what changes you really want to bring on. And perhaps maybe not taking action right now. For some of you, it's recommended not taking action right now, or at least not taking action until you really digest what has happened. And then once you've processed what has happened, then you can proceed, to act accordingly. Okay. So I'm going to move on to the next one, which is how to access your superpower, or what could be your superpower. And we have, let's see. Oh, we have eternal love. And it says, love is love, and it transcends physical death. So again, we have things about dying. So perhaps like relationship-wise, things could be having kind of like a rough patch right now. And just, if you're able, like if the person has been making effort, or you as a couple have been making effort, know that there are rough times, and sometimes it could be more rough than others. But to know that perhaps you both need to digest what is happening, and what you both can do to make the relationship much more better, much more healthier. Okay, so I feel like in relationship wise, this can definitely be about pausing and really digesting and really planning on what you can do. I feel like this, because we're talking about people. Okay, so I feel like this could also be about, ancestors, like ancestral things, the things that we go through, that could be showing itself in the relationships and our connections with people. And to know that your superpower is powered by love. So even if you have a negative connotation about what love is, know that your superpower is that everything you do, everything you say, and everything you think comes from a place of love. And to remember that the power of love, is stronger than death itself, okay? And I feel like this also has to do about love of self and others. So I feel like definitely like trying to heal that kind of feelings you have about love, and that everything you do, and in relationship's sake too, that everything you do should come from a place of love and not anger, not hate, not resentment, right? So your superpower is, if you want to know what you want to do for the future, for the coming of spring, everything, your decisions have to be all based from the power of love. And that means loving yourself as well. So if that means that you need to cut off certain people, so you can have a much more positive life, that's also an act of self-love. All right, so definitely your superpower is that feeling, okay, of love. So the last card is, what is the action to take to conquer your world? And we have, let's see, we have a skull of flowers creating through the ashes. I like that. It's a pretty card too. They all are. So definitely I feel like, rising from the ashes, being able to go through the process of rebirth, because again, with winter, it also has to do with death. So definitely this could be a very transformative time. So definitely you want to access that superpower you have, and doing everything from a place of love, because love, as I said before, transcends, even death. Okay, so definitely this has to do with like rebirth and radical change, and wanting to perhaps start over, like a new slate. And as I was saying before, to really think about what you want to do, and building what you really want, and I feel like this definitely is sort of like related to the Phoenix, because skulls, and you have the next card next to it, Eternal Love, also has a skeleton, So definitely there's this energy of being reborn, okay? Um, and being able to not just be reborn, but to be reborn in a state of also success, and wanting to plan and build anew, but something that's going to be successful, something that's going to be stronger, like laying basically like a stronger foundation. And this is how you're going to conquer your world, by killing off whatever is not for you and really rebuilding from the ashes, okay? And tapping in. And while you're doing this, your greatest strength, your greatest superpower will be, love. That everything you do comes from that place, okay? So those who chose the Garnet, these are your cards. That is the end of this Pick a Crystal reading, The Badass Within. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you all again on the next Pick a Crystal reading.